I'm Donald Trump. This is how I've been doing it. I'm hustling. I'm the best. He repeated the same, like, you know, I've done more for black people than anybody besides Abraham Lincoln. He said that same thing again. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not good. It's a bad take all over the place.
It is.
So
it's like the closer he gets to election day, like the more self-harm he does every day. And we're live.
We're live on Facebook.
We are
right
live
now.
on Facebook right now.
All right, I'm just waiting for the thing here, and then I'll know for sure that we're actually live on Facebook. But
Okay.
Okay, we are for sure. It's here. We're live. It's happening. I'm calling it. Thank you. That's it. We're out here. Episode 95 pre-show. Salt of the Streets. We're on it. I can see it. We're right here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Donovan. This is Colin right here. He's going to switch over there. He's doing something. I can see it. Caleb Brown say, yee! Thank you for joining us, sir. Again, episode 95 pre-show. We got a lot of stuff going on today. It's going to be a good episode. This is our Larry Dixon in the house. Thank you for joining us. This is our biannual. That means every other year, right?
Let's do that, yeah.
Does that mean twice a year?
I always get confused, to be perfectly honest.
Is semi-annual twice a year or every other year?
You would have to ask Victoria's Secret.
Then
I'll have to
ask Victoria. They would know.
Okay. Yeah, because they're semi-annual, biannual sales.
Whoever can tell us first. Either way, whether it's the semi-annual or the biannual sale, because it's not the sale.
But we know
event.
We're working up to something.
Every other year, when the election happens, we go over the Washington State voters pamphlet. And so today is the episode that we're going to do that, because next episode would be Halloween, which is way too close to the election for anybody to be able to consume this information and understand what is happening. I did not bring my ballot today.
That's okay. I got you covered.
But, well, usually, like the last time we did this, I voted for shit while we were here. For my initiatives and stuff, I wrote it down while we were here. Just so that people knew that I was actually voting the way that I said that I was voting. Biannual is every 2 years. Thank you very much, Larry Dixon. We're out here. So,
wow.
Larry's committed. Larry's
a really smart dude.
Big fan of Larry. Huge fan. I meant to hit him up on the side, but since you're watching, we're going to put you here now. In the event that there is another stimulus plan passed. Yeah, no, we're doing it. We would love to have you back on to go over the stimulus package so that we can, the tax man in the house.
Absolutely.
I also want to know, I meant to hit him up on Twitter to ask him this. I want to know, Larry, if you can tell me, hypothetically, if we owned a company and then we took that company and moved it overseas, is there a tax penalty for moving that company overseas?
Should we be based out of like Trinidad?
No. This is a research thing. This has to do with the show. I'm just I am not considering moving Salt of the Streets to another country. This is actually a hypothetical question. I really do just want to know.
Word.
Yes. So
I'd be super curious too, because that should be something I think we should all learn about.
I was watching Joe Biden's town hall today, and he was talking about his tax plan and what he was going to do, different companies, bringing shit back, building stuff here.
Build back better.
So in order for me to more correctly evaluate some of the numbers that he spit out, I need to know if there's a penalty for moving your company out of the country. Because then I can kind of try and theorize that there's probably a penalty for moving your company out of another country from that country. Right, like if you moved your company from here to Germany, and then you're like, just kidding, we're gonna go back to America. I would imagine that Germany would some type of tax fee for that year or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Is that a reasonable?
And I would kind of assume that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we need to know. Larry Dixon, you're on the case.
Right. So I'm interested. I want to know. I meant to tweet at him today and then ask him. But
see what happens, Larry? You show up to the Facebook Live and we just dump some workload on you.
There are 7 more questions. And I hope that he's like looking it up right now, because he's not.
Absolutely.
Anyway, not important. So today, we're going to talk about the Washington State voters pamphlet. This is the Kitsap County one here. So we are going to go over the two. One's an initiative. One of it is a referendum. Technically in here. So we're going to go over both of those. It is referendum 90. And then initiative whatever the fuck.
This initiative. Oh, it's right on my pamphlet.
Come on, Colin. Proposition number 1.
Engross State Joint Resolution number 8212.
There you go.
private
There you go.
investments,
So,
public funds.
Yes, that's what it is.
Which
Okay.
is, if that doesn't have a conversation written all over it, I don't
Yeah.
know what does.
Private investment of public funds. We're definitely going to be talking about that because that is, and it's just like one particular section of public funds.
Yep.
So very interested. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. You're going to have to relight that because I was going on for a
Very
minute.
interested about this situation.
Super interested. So, like I said, we're going to go over the voters pamphlet today. We're going to use that as a window to talk about the presidential candidates and the town halls that they did this week, and just kind of their general opinions, our opinions about them. We're going to talk a little bit about the Amy Coney Barrett hearings.
Popular known as
happened
ACB.
here we go. As of right now, extra cost tax-wise when moving your company overseas. Word. No extra cost tax-wise when moving your company overseas.
Well, that's good to know.
Interesting.
That is very interesting.
Which is okay. So, thank you very much.
And just that alone, we have an assumption that we can operate off of. For
Yes, right, and that's
conversation.
all that I really wanted to know. Is just to give me an idea of what I could assume from other countries, right? So yeah, we're also going to talk about the Amy Coney Barrett hearings that happened this week on Monday. They did the opening statements from all of the senators, and then from Amy Coney Barrett herself, ACB. And then there was 2 days of questions, and then there was a third day of statements from the senators, and also from 2 different sets of lawyers, I believe.
Yeah.
One kind of in favor of Amy Coney Barrett, and then one opposed to Amy Coney Barrett. I did not watch what is technically the
last one.
4th day, but
Yeah.
like the 3rd day of questioning. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch that. We'll get to why I couldn't. I just could not handle another day of the insanity that came from that.
It was rough, man. I mean,
Yes.
nowhere near like Brett Kavanaugh rough.
No.
But this was just, it was Brett Kavanaugh level attempt that you can't,
With even less substance.
yes, because you can't necessarily try to attack her on those grounds at all.
No.
There's really nothing to try to go after except, unconstitutional means. And so
Right.
like they really couldn't, but they wanted to.
Yeah.
And it was very uncomfortable.
So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about kind of like what was a potential, not break it down, but there was like a potential COVID stimulus package that was, looking like it might happen this week. And there was kind of a fallout between Nancy Pelosi and Wolf Blitzer. So we're going to talk a little bit about these kind of entertaining things that happened this week. One thing that I did, we're going to talk about the New York Post story that happened. That
did
broke,
not happen?
Right? That did not happen. Maybe didn't happen. We're going to talk about big tech censorship that, like, I don't know, maybe we've been talking about for at least a year now of
At
shadow
least.
banning and being able to be put on lists and hide things, and like a small group of people deciding what you can and can't consume on the internet. Weird, right? All these people that
It's
were
getting
like,
weird.
that's dumb.
'Cause
That's
it's-
so crazy that you would think that, but
Yeah, and it's
here
getting
we are
real
now.
hard to try to have like libertarian mindsets on this one because the offense towards the public at this point was so egregious.
Yes.
Like I'm really like, can we just regulate them motherfuckers? But no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Did you hear? I think it was Ben Shapiro that was talking about it, and he said, I wonder, like, the viewers are going down. I wonder if that's because Joe Biden. Anyway, not important. Ben Shapiro was saying that, like, even Maggie Haberman shared something about it on Twitter, and then a bunch of people that, her followers were like, oh, now calling her MAGA Haberman and shit like that
MAGA
because she's
Haberman.
sharing a story that's, like, extremely important and groundbreaking if it's true, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to go over the story from the New York Post, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, because it's a pretty crazy story.
It is, yeah. And then it's like this turned into like this new slow leak thing over
Yes.
time.
Yeah,
And I didn't watch it. I was listening to old Tim Cast IRL from Friday, and they were talking about it with some guy who used to be like a stand-in player for Five Finger Death Punch, by the way. Super weird. Really good IRL. I haven't seen it in a while, but they were talking about how on Hannity, I guess on Friday, he had dropped some other stuff that's coming out, and Giuliani now is saying that there's going to be another one, I think, in 10 days.
Another
10
drop.
days before the election or something like
Oh
that.
my
He's going to have
God.
the big drop or something.
Oh my God.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? It'll be
Yeah.
one of those again.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we'll get into it deeper in the regular show. But earlier this week, there was a story written by the New York Post. I believe that it was on Wednesday that this happened.
Yeah.
And it is in regards to, I don't want to say too much Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On like the live stream, but
It had something to do with Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, investments, and companies in the Ukraine and people in the Ukraine. And after it was released on Facebook, they were throttling the exposure of this story and not allowing people to share the link on their accounts and stuff like that. And then on Twitter, the exact same thing happened, where you couldn't even tweet the article out. It was saying that it was being blocked because it was found to be potentially harmful, which is like
questionable,
very troubling language to hear. So there was a large amount of pushback from pretty much everybody on all sides of the political spectrum on the censorship of what people can and cannot consume or share with their friends.
And it was like on a scale we have not seen to date. Like, it took over the internet. People that I just could not believe would comment on that, and which is kind of funny because it took away from what the actual story was.
Yes.
Or may or may not be, or whatever. It was just a story put out by a conservative outlet that got, for everybody to see. You could objectively prove that it was throttled and removed from circulation via the admins at Facebook and Twitter, and there was no argument against that. And that story alone, because I think deeply, it definitely is more important than the actual story about Hunter themselves, but that became the story, and it totally overshadowed the Hunter Biden stuff, which is really interesting in and itself.
And it's almost like, at least for the time being, the quote unquote the cover up is worse than the crime. What
there it is. There it is.
Actually happened. Yep. It's like not even as relevant to everything else.
Nope.
And now, it's being called, Russian disinformation, like all this stuff. Like, I was watching CNN this morning, and I'm like, is this really what you're doing? Like, this is the angle that you're
going to take? Do you remember? Like, it wasn't that long ago.
On Twitter and everything. It's crazy. It's pretty wild.
The times we live in.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that. If we have time, we're going to talk about some stuff that's happening with the ATF and the honey badger, because that's pretty wild. There's, for people who don't know about that, I'd hate for us to talk more about guns down more like a gun guy podcast, but you and I kind of talked about it on Thursday, and the fuckery, for lack of a better term, happening within the ATF, banning particular pistol braces on certain guns, classifying them as SBRs, so that people who own them already now are either going to have to register them with, under the the NFA, or they're felons. People who've already purchased them at the time they were totally legal firearms, and now they're
not
registered differently. It's not good. It's a really bad situation. It's extremely concerning, and it's something that if you aren't into guns, it's very easy to write off as like it just doesn't matter. But
or you may not even know about it.
You probably don't even know. But if you had a friend who was into guns that was like, they're coming after me, like, I'm telling you, the honey badger, you're going to be like, what the fuck is the honey badger? Like, why do I even give a shit about, Q, some fucking random company in the Northeast? Like, why do I care about this?
You're not talking in the Northeast, too. It's weird.
Exactly, yeah. So, very, very concerning.
We have a story there that has the actual important reason to talk about the story runs so much deeper than the actual story itself. Like, just the honey badger itself, excuse me, or, the parts in play and stuff like that, and what may or may not trigger certain regulations, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not even really the story. The overall precedent that would be set if the ATF and stuff was allowed to do this and get away with it, it would set a very dangerous precedent. That means they could fuck with firearms on a completely new scale.
Coupled with the potential for a Joe Biden presidency, right? As I was watching, because now I need you to watch the town hall so that we can talk about it. Because as I was watching the Joe Biden one, there were legitimate moments where I was like, this is not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he sounded way better, was put together. He wasn't slurring. He wasn't stumbling. There was none of that. You know what I'm saying? He was able to talk while not being interrupted, was able to talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just go. And it was a lot of policy all crammed in, so it wasn't like super easy to follow the whole time, but it's not because he was just babbling. It's because he was talking about so much shit in one answer to one question. Yeah, just jamming everything in. And I think
of course I didn't watch that one, because the first time something of substance happened.
And I think it's because the potential for another debate this week, he's not going to have that opportunity if he's there with Donald Trump to say everything that he just said, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
As we've seen in the
You
first
don't think
debate,
he learned his lesson, huh?
He's likely not going to have that time. So, so there were times where I was like, well, okay, like not that I agree with it, you know, because most of the shit I don't agree with, but it's like he doesn't sound terrible. He doesn't sound like he's falling apart like he has in the past.
Me because
he's done
it. He's proven that he can do that when it's absolutely needed over the last like month or two.
Yeah, but then things would happen. You know, okay, so this is why I got to this, right? Coupled with the potential of a Joe Biden presidency, and one of the big things that they've been running on is gun reform, right?
Yes.
Is firearms reform, new legislation. We want to put the AR-15 under the NFA so that you either have to register it or turn it in, and that is not something. There's like things like that happen. I'm like, okay, well, you lost me. Like, regardless of what I think about raising tax rates, lowering tax rates, doing these certain things, like changing this shit, then you're talking about. You're talking about guns. You know what I'm saying?
Like, then you're really talking about.
You're talking
guns.
about shit that really is stuff that it's like a non-starter for me. You know, if you're talking about having to register, it's not. It's not.
It always leads there. It always leads there.
Yes.
You know, it's not like we can just have we tried with 1639. You know, that was something we thought maybe middle of the road people could get on board with, and I just don't think we're there anymore. Coming from that side of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's almost every one of these issues when you get closer and closer to an election, all these issues become really, really compressed, and it's talking points at that point because even during our debates, I mean, 5-10 minutes is pretty good for like the contemporary media environment we live in, but it's not like an hour. You know, it's better than 2 minutes.
Like the State of the Union, you know, when he has to give a State of the Union address for 4 years in a row. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be something else. I mean, Donald Trump's have been longer, I think they've been the longest ones in history.
Yeah.
But
and if he was semi-coherent, you could he might have time throughout those lengths of, like rallies and shit. You can actually get some substantive stuff talked about. Yeah. But he doesn't do that, which is a shame.
He even laid out a genuine like legal theory as to why he didn't believe Amy Coney Barrett should be confirmed right now, which I don't agree with, but it wasn't just like I just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you watched the Steven Crowder video that I sent you, like the new change my mind that he did was for confirming Amy Coney Barrett.
Yep.
And they're all college kids, right? So you also I don't hold the same expectations that I do of like a grown adult of someone Joe Biden.
Which in itself is sad.
But it was all just like, well, I feel like this. This is what I feel like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Joe Biden was like, well, in the Constitution, this is not, in my opinion, concurrent with this, you know? And he was saying similar to what one of those other kids was saying was that he just feels like there should be another election so that people can vote for their senators because, it's supposed to be, there's like two particular words I just don't remember right now, but like approved, checked and approved, or, you know what I'm saying? That like the Senate is supposed to do for whatever the...
And confirm, I believe, is in one of those.
Yeah,
consent and confirm?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yep. Yes. Okay.
Something like that.
Exactly. So, they're supposed to do this, and that's how, the people have their say in this, and so we need to have an election so they can elect their senators, and this can be done. That's all well and good, but that's not how this works. It clicked for me that the two different actual theories for the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett is almost like an originalist and a textualist interpretation of the Constitution, of whether or not you feel like it's just 4 years, or you're like, well, that's all well and good. But now Joe Biden was talking about once we're in an election, there's an implication that the people then need to have a say in what's happening. And I'm like, implicate my asshole. Like, that's not that is absolutely not how the Constitution works. We implying this and this. Like, that's
And I hate to say it, but if you didn't see that argument coming from the minute they talked about early voting, vote early, vote now, we're talking like states, people have been voting for a long time already.
Right.
In a lot of states. A lot of mail-in stuff going on, a lot of lines even at polling places. So, like, they preach that, and now they can actually speak to it constitutionally. They got something in their favor.
But I appreciated there was an actual idea proposed, and
a
not
substantive argument,
and not just like, fuck Donald Trump, he shouldn't be doing this because it's not right. But he did, however, when he was asked about court packing, Joe Biden was like, he said he wasn't going to answer, right? Yes. But then he said the people do deserve to know after the election, right?
Not right
and
now.
it's like, and whether or not my opinion or my opinion on packing the courts depends on how things are handled right now before the election. Like, what does that even mean? Like, that's not an answer to whether or not you're going to pack the courts. That's if Amy Coney Barrett gets in, I'm going to do what I can to pack the courts, and if she doesn't, then I'm not going to.
Basically,
that's exactly
he
what
can't
that means.
agree to it if he knows that they won't win the Senate.
Yes.
Or if one of the other houses flips and they don't control all 3 houses,
Right.
essentially, then he can't sign on for that because it'll never happen. And then he doesn't want to have that argument because it's not a good argument he's going to win.
And I had conversation with Josh Keaton like last week maybe when Joe Biden originally said that the people didn't deserve to know whether or not he was going to do it, right? I shared that video and was tweeting about it. And Josh Keaton, I mean, have conversations all the time, so I'm not denigrating him. This is just the conversation we had. We said, you know, it's like it's not unprecedented like FDR tried to do it or whatever. I'm like, and that's all well and good, but just because somebody else would do it, or like the GOP would do it if it was other side, and that's fine, but just because somebody else would do it, that doesn't make it okay. Doing a shitty thing is not okay just because somebody else would also do it in this position. Like, especially if you're a politician, I expect you to step above that. And I don't care if there are 45-year-olds who be like, "Oh, I've been voting, since I was 18 years old, and that's just ideological, and you're just thinking in the positive." No, I believe all Americans should hold their politicians to a higher standard than we're doing now. We need to expect all of them to be doing better than they're doing right now. I don't think that should be ludicrous. That needs to be a more closely held view for all Americans, not just a subsidiary. That's not the right thing. Like a subsiding idea of just like, well, that's just how it is. Just rolling over like this. That's just politics. Like, no, that's completely against the idea that those same people are going to preach of like the American spirit. Like, it's the American way. You got to keep hustling. Like, it's hard. It's the American dream. Like, then why are you not fighting for that even in your personal beliefs of holding people, your representatives, to a higher standard? Why should we not expect them to be better? That's ludicrous to me. And I don't,
And that's the old argument about what is, but what ought to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You hear that a lot, is and ought. But I was going to say, I believe you were right when you were going to say it's a subsidiary idea of. I was just thinking about it. I was like, no, I think that was a good word.
Yeah,
Use that. Your vocabulary is impressive today.
Thank you very much.
And to get back to it, I don't want to dive any deeper necessarily into that because I still think we're going to talk about that more in the main show in some capacity.
Oh, this is the main show now. It's too late.
Yeah, right. We've bleeded over. We're 21 minutes in, people. We've bled over. So that's just a nice, this is a good preview of what the full show is like. Because sometimes we get on here, we just, screw around for the pre-show and have some fun.
Right. Because I watched all but the last 20 minutes of the Joe Biden town hall, and I watched all of the Donald Trump one. I watched Donald Trump yesterday at work, and then I watched the Joe Biden one this morning before Dax woke up. But he's been waking up fucking 6:45, this little guy. So
weird.
That's just...
Is that you're not working out?
That's just
not
how
good?
he is. I don't know. That's just where we're at right now.
Okay.
That's just his current...
I was like, I am not educated enough to know whether that's a good or a bad. Hard no. I don't want to hang out with anybody at 6:45.
Me either.
Okay,
I get up at 5:15. I get up at 5:15 to be alone. That's why I get up at 5:15 on the days I don't have to work. That's not successful when I'm only alone for like 45
When you put it in those terms, that is highly understandable. Highly understandable. So just really quick, super condensed form. The Trump town hall, was it substantive or was it more of kind of the general same?
It was more substantive because the commentator, the moderator, Savannah, whatever her name is,
Guthridge or something.
She did a fucking great job.
Really?
She did great. She would keep on the same question.
So
when he would try and dodge, she's like, and that's fine, but this, like, blah, 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 and she's like, that's great, but this is what I'm asking you. Yeah, she would ask him the same question 3 or 4 times, like, make sure that he at least had to kind of address what she said, because she would just keep after it. So
that's good. Like, I kind of wish we could be more like that.
Yes.
Try to distill the blatant, diversion lie closer to the truth.
Yeah,
because they do that all the time.
They brought she would bring contradictory points if he said something that wasn't correct, and George Stephanopoulos did the same thing to Joe Biden. If he was like, well, to be fair, this and this and this, or like it wasn't until March that you made this statement, and Joe was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're right, like blah blah blah, and Donald Trump was obviously like, well, actually, because but no, it was, and probably for like the first 10 minutes of President Trump's, I was like, this is going to be okay, like this looks like it might be all right, and then at the moment that he meets any type of resistance, it's switched to like fuck you, I'm Donald Trump, this is how I've been doing it, I'm hustling, I'm the best. He repeated the same like, I've done more for black people than anybody besides Abraham Lincoln. He said that same thing
he did it again.
Yeah, because
he did not again.
I don't remember why it came up. I'm sure something about the
racial,
protest rights and I'm sure
the racial unrest.
Totally doubled down of like, I have done more for black people than any other president other than maybe Abraham Lincoln. And I was like,
word.
Yeah, word. So
it's like, okay,
he did say that again, which is obviously
unfortunate.
It is what it is. It's not good. It's a bad take all over the place.
It is.
So
it's like the closer he gets to election day, like the more self-harm he does every day.
And I've been like, I've been trying to explain that to John. John just doesn't, which is this is totally fine. Again, John, because they watch all the time, so I don't want John to think I'm not talking shit about, because these are just like some of the conversations we have. But like, he just doesn't believe like any media really at all anymore. Like he feels like even that the Hill, like Rising has like bought into like the regular, which I don't.
And I don't blame him.
Certainly.
And I will say on the Rising, because I know you love the Rising, and I do too.
It's
right?
Good. I see what he sees.
Yeah.
But
because
I've not.
They're trying to be like this overall style is much more mainstream, which they themselves, and we've heard them on other things. They're not those people, and they're not doing that. But it's like you put all the clothes on, like it, you get this weird feeling. So I don't blame people for that.
No.
But I can attest. I've looked into it. They're solid.
Yeah,
and you might feel weird watching it.
But I mean, she's very progressive, crystal ball.
Oh,
so, and John is very conservative. Like that's just who he is. So there's just a lot of shit that doesn't, and they represent like I feel very, maybe not mainstream views, but like classical Democratic and classical progressive.
They're much
and
more
classical
grounded
Republican views. Yeah, that's how these parties used to be, and so it sounds almost.
It sounds like which is funny. Sometimes it sounds like they switch sides.
Like not industry politicians, but
industry politicians,
like career politicians, like
career
something.
Politicians. Establishment.
Thank you very much. Yes, exactly. It sounds very establishment. You know what I'm saying? Because that's who they are, but it's like genuine, So I see what he sees, and in his view,
that's the way politics used to be. Exactly. By the way, it used to be for policy wonks and stuff like that.
And we'll
for
talk
us.
about Joe Biden giving a peek into past politics because it was super gross.
I'm so excited. So this is good. It's going to be an educational one for me.
But because John sees media that way, he does not buy like any of the polls at all, right? And I also don't. Tyler asked me about this week too. That like he was like, "What do you think of the polls?" I'm like, I don't put all my stock in the polls, but you have to trust them at least a little bit because there's some truth to it. Whether it's only a little bit, there is that plus or minus 4 points or whatever the fuck. Like, but they're also trying their best to put that into it that you need to expect this. So,
and an important factor to remember if you're one of those people that has a really hard time trusting polls in general, because. Well, we'll just start here. You need to understand that they have a financial interest in not being too partisan because it means that it undermines the reason they exist.
The legitimacy of their polls. Yeah.
Yes. And so they have an interest there. And so it's really important, though, because you are going to get skews in polling and stuff like this. It's important to go to these polling businesses and do research on how they collect their data and who they're collecting it from.
Look at hella polls.
Yes, because
excuse me.
And then like dig down into the polls and find out the context behind those polls, because they may be a reflection that is not entirely correct as to the reality that's happening on the ground because these are so unprecedented times. But they do have a lot to say, as long as you know what they're saying.
Right.
So don't take them at face value, but there is value to them.
And so I bring that up because I don't remember what you were saying, but we were talking, John and I have been talking about just the likelihood. Oh, Donald Trump throwing away the election, right?
Yeah.
Just then, and I'm
not. Nope. Come take it.
And John still feels very strongly that, and I don't. Again, if you feel, I'm not trying to misrepresent John's views. I just don't want him to see this and be like, "What the fuck?" Like I didn't. But like he still feels very strongly like Donald Trump is going to take the election, and I think that's a valid viewpoint. But from everything that I've seen, I think there's a real. It's very close at this point. Even the polls are so wild that I don't buy like everyone does. That like it's Joe Biden's, but I think that it's fucking close. You know what I'm saying? I don't. 2 months ago, I was like, there's no way Donald Trump doesn't win. There's no way he doesn't pull it out. This is exactly how it was before. It's going to be just like this again. But now I'm like,
long ago.
I really don't know how this is going to happen. I genuinely don't know. And
for so many reasons.
And I've been trying to tell him. I'm like, I understand that you don't believe all of this, but I'm telling you, I'd be consuming mad information. And I'm telling you, it is fucking close out here. Like From everything that I consume, I could not call it. I don't feel confident saying either way, especially from what I saw from the town halls. I don't know, bro. I don't know. A lot of it's going to depend, I think, on this next election or the next debate if it happens, because I think there's a lot of other people that really don't know.
Yep.
We saw on the way here on 305 and whatever coming
Trump
down
flags.
into no,
Biden
it was all Democratic stuff. All Biden, Harris, fuck Trump, fuck Christopher Columbus, pussy hats, pink pussy hats, all over the place. Pro-life, everything, or pro-choice, all over the place. Yeah, the whole double corners. Yeah, fat. Yeah, big orange baby with Donald Trump's hair.
It's on 305
on
well, I don't want to dox him or nothing, but like
no, it's whatever the road is that you Bond and 305 at that intersection, the four-way intersection.
Word.
Yes.
Interesting. That's not usually a popular spot for demonstration.
No, it's just a huge popular road. Like it's a very busy road. Yeah. So on either corner, if you're going straight like we are, then it was on this corner on the right.
Were these like people and stuff out there too, or were just signs?
There was probably
30
people on one side and then like 50 people on the opposite side next to the nursery. Yeah, there was hella people out there.
The nice thing
all
is
Democratic shit.
That intersection is so slam packed with traffic most of the day.
People are honking.
Yeah, so it's safe to do that because traffic's just like crawling.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the people, and I mean, it's Paulsbo, so people were down for the clown, down for whatever they were doing.
I saw, it was one day this week, might have even been like a day last weekend, but there were some demonstrators down on our intersection to turn up Hansville Road.
Word. Right,
and they were out there protesting and I think we've mentioned this before when it comes to like women or people trafficking, child trafficking, missing women on Indian reservations and things like that on the tribal lands, and they were out there demonstrating for that, and I was just like,
that's awesome.
I give them a beep beep. I was like, that's fucking. You don't see that a lot.
No,
and that was awesome to see that. It was really cool.
That I like. We talked a lot on the way here about the different reasons that people demonstrate and protest and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I obviously am down for the fact that they are expressing their free opinion because I think that that's what people should do. So I think that a lot of these particular opinions are misinformed, so I don't agree with that. But I 1,000% respect their right to do it.
I love to see the enthusiasm.
Like what you're seeing, I'm saying, where they're protesting fucking child trafficking and shit.
Yes.
1,000%. That I will 1,000% buy in. This one that we saw, I'm like 60% bought it. Because I don't fuck with what you're doing, but I fuck with your right to do it. And I would murder somebody to try and stop you. You know what I'm saying?
And especially these days when so many demonstrations get hijacked by violent, people, right? Violent, foreign violent adversaries, whatever it is. What's the word I'm trying to think of? They work their way in and amongst the movement, and then they insurgent, and then they come in there and ruin it by starting fucking violence and shit, right? And it's so nice to see all these demonstrations more and more now, that are just chilling, and everything's going about it the way they're supposed to, and they're out there because they care and they're concerned. And,
we're talking about it here, so they're getting exposure. Because all the people that were here today, again, thank everyone for joining us. Oh my God, I almost forgot. You got to tell me what you ate before we. What?
I made some sweet biscuits and gravy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude, it was the money.
What?
Oh, I can't believe we got this far in. We totally haven't even talked about it.
No, it was nice.
Totally forgot.
But there's two things that I want to plug before we go, because I think we're about to close it out.
33 minutes.
At Swell Blended. Paul, amazing.
Get a nice little.
He told me the guys
Look, get
couldn't
a little close up
cutting
to your
hair till
camera
like
there.
9 o'clock at night. Yeah,
Look
I'm
at
out
that.
here, right?
Look at that sweet.
This is
so
the
fresh, so
lineup
clean.
is insane. I literally showed him one picture, and he was like, "Yeah, I got you."
Yeah,
So,
and the mustache looks great, by the
thank
way.
you very
Trimmed
much.
up.
Thank
He
you.
hooked you up.
Nope, I did that
Oh,
myself.
you
today.
did it.
Yep, that's
Classy,
me,
dude. Yeah, you look
You gotta
fresh,
tell
bro.
me, honest take, mustache.
I think you. It sounds so bad considering the context, but you've moved out of the porn stash lifestyle
It's
anymore.
like a proper mustache.
Yeah,
right?
it's coming in full.
Yeah.
You're becoming a man. I'm proud of you.
I wish it was the same color as my hair, but I live with it. You know, it is what it is. It's a
Oh,
light.
yeah.
It's definitely a lighter color than the hair on my head,
It's like-
but
my hair is super light generally, and then I have a dark beard that comes in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're
I
like
don't
a
get
dirty blonde almost when your hair's like grown out.
yeah, now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause I used to be like one of them golden children. with the
Really?
bleach blonde hair. Yeah.
Towhead, huh?
Same with Jake too. We used to
Really?
we used to look like twins. People used to confuse us as brothers all the time. They still
I
do,
was gonna
but
say that shit happens now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they still
you,
do, but-
You guys standing next to each other is like you got to be related. Like, there's no way you're not. You
like
know,
we'll just say on the level of John and Olivia's kids.
if
That level, it was weird for a few years.
you and Jacob and Chad all stood next to each other, and someone said, "Pick the two of these guys that are related," I definitely wouldn't pick you and Chad or Jake and Chad. That's not the way that I would pick that. That's
Nope.
not.
No, we have a very diverse.
Yes. Jake's sitting at the table, and she's like, "So is that Colin's brother?" And I was like, "No, that's his friend Jake." I'm like,
Yep.
That's
That was Joe Rogan night.
yes. Chad sat across from us. Yeah.
That was Joe Rogan night when we all had
Yes.
dinner together.
Yeah. That was the first time that we met Morgan and Jake and your brother and his friend, whoever his friend was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. His friend Chance. He's a cool kid.
Yes.
Big fan of his.
Yeah. That was the first time we met all of them.
Oh
So
wow,
that was
that's
cool.
so funny. Yeah. I always kind of.
Yes.
Yep.
And your cousin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was a good night.
It was a great night.
Look at how
a
much our
wild
life
night.
has changed from that moment. Isn't that crazy?
That was not that long ago.
No.
It's wild.
And the second thing that I want to plug,
Yes.
Upper Left. They put out a new video this week for
They
Soul.
did?
Incredible. So,
Fantastic.
John, Dr. Sly, that's what it is, right? Dr.
Dr. Sly.
Dr. Sly.
John Satak.
Yes.
Go back and watch John Satak episode. I think we spent about 15 minutes in the beginning explaining where you can find him.
Yeah. right.
he's like
John
many
Tastic,
people-
Dr. Sly, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
like many
okay.
people that are starting out in the creator space
Figuring
stuff,
it
you
out,
have
yeah.
all these different social accounts and different things. You're
But we wanna
trying to
pimp
figure
them.
out which one is the one you're
Let
going
me
to use.
see if I can
So he
finally
is on
tag
that.
someone.
But we tagged him in all the episodes and stuff too, so you'll be able to find him. Just
Yeah.
go to our stuff, you can find him there. But yeah, he's the one. This is another one of his videos.
Yes, he did. He did the video, and so it's Upper Left. It is Denzel, RJ, and Elijah in this video. Fantastic. It's all like filmed in one single room. It was beautiful. Huge fan. Denzel, dude,
It's just
the man's talent, and I hate to like always focus on Denzel, but I feel okay with it because also every other person who's been in here that's in that group is like, but Denzel's voice,
Right.
though. like they.
Denzel wants to be a stepfather. He just needs to learn.
Oh wow!
Not for her. She means that she can find him. I know, like, find somebody for
Word.
him, right? You're not.
Okay, there we go.
So he can serenade me to sleep. You can
Just so he
I don't want
can
anything else
serenade.
except for him to sing me to sleep.
I'm not okay with what just happened here. I don't like the way that my wife just used my own platform to make me uncomfortable.
Oh.
So we're going to leave. We're going to be done with this. You watch this on our Facebook, Live at Salt of the Streets.
Absolutely.
You can find
been
all
a
of our
great
other
time.
stuff. Yeah, Upper Left, by the way, on everything. And get out of here.
Light him up.
And Salt of the
AKA, I think
Streets,
Denzel must be single.
he's not.
He's not.
I don't know. The
He's
last
not
time that he
now.
was here, he talked about having a girlfriend.
Oh,
He
word.
said that he was going to his girlfriend's house when he
That's
was done
right.
with here. So I'm
So-
pretty sure he still has a girlfriend.
Yep.
I don't speak to him regularly enough or deeply personally enough to know. So if I'm misrepresenting you, Denzel, I apologize. I'm going to write down. When this is done, we got to tag him in the comments because it won't let me do it while I'm watching it. But anyway, Instagram, Salt of the Streets, our own personal stuff. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter
Word.
and at alpaca_Don on Instagram. He's a big bird off you on both these things.
I am indeed.
And that's it. Watch out for this later. I mean, the clips, by the way, fucking Colin for the clips because, dear Lord, they've been incredible. Look out for the clips like almost every day. I mean, it's incredible. He's
Yeah,
doing.
the only days I'm not doing it. Yeah. The only days we're not doing clips on is essentially the Saturdays and Sundays.
Yes.
Because cast
'Cause you're
obviously takes
hustling.
priority.
Yeah.
You know. But then I want people to get doses of what it is that we talk about. And
Yeah.
if you're one of those people, I mean, we put out a 4-hour podcast the other day.
Well, Morgan,
a month ago.
yeah.
And so it's if you're interested, if you're afraid of that 4 hours or the 3 hours, if you're interested, the clips will hit you up. And then I'm just saying, it's kind of like, I kind of feel like a crack dealer. I'll give you your first dose for free.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little 10, 15 minutes, but because I know you're coming back for 4. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's Morgan even said in that live that she did today. Shout out Morgan. That she has a hard time listening to a whole one, but way prefers the clips. I mean, Elijah said the same thing. Loves the clips. The clips are a huge thing. You're doing a great job. We have 50 subscribers on YouTube now. Did you know that?
I was unaware.
We have 50 subscribers on YouTube.
So let's keep that train rolling.
We're growing. We're hustling. I like that. So we're
People
out here.
been up in the comments.
That's all you. Larry said he's a big fan of the micro content.
Yep.
So that's another one. Another that's 4
Our boy
people
Alex
personally.
was in there, and so we got some comments going. So jump into the comments, into these YouTube clips, and we can keep the convo going.
Okay, we're gonna make Colin just as uncomfortable as I was
it.
just made, because you just don't ever take praise well, and this is all the micro content, all these 5, 6 people that we just individually talked about that all have said that they love this. That's you. And you said that it was inspired by Carolina, but this is something that you're doing. Everyone's like, oh, you guys do such a good job. And I try and tell them, like, no, Colin does like all of this work. Like, I show up and I I talk for a few hours and then I fucking post the shit the next day. Like, all of the rest of the stuff Colin does, I'm telling you right here in the camera, he does like everything. It's incredible. You are seeing 70% of what I do for this podcast right here in the videos that you're watching. That's it. All of the rest of the stuff, and that's again like only like 30-40% of the actual work that goes into this. All of the rest of it is this guy right here. So at the risk of making all this too long,
super uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make sure that you have all that credit. Shout out everybody. All the socials already happened. Get the fuck out of here. The episode's on Monday. Peace, everybody. Look out for the clips.
Goodbye.